Have you ever wondered when exactly the change began? Perhaps it was a Tuesday morning when you realized that 8 hours of sleep no longer felt like enough. You stood in front of the mirror, searching for the person who used to have boundless energy, only to find a stranger with tired eyes and a mind wrapped in a thick gray blanket of fog. This is the reality for millions of people as they cross the threshold of 40. You might call it aging. Your friends might tell you it is just a natural part of growing older. You might even have started to accept this persistent fatigue, the sudden sensitivity to foods you used to love, and the mysterious aching in your joints as your new normal. But today, I want to challenge that myth. I want to tell you that what you are feeling is not a mandatory tax on your years. It is not a character flaw, and it is certainly not something you have to just live with. What you are actually experiencing is the outward manifestation of a silent, invisible breach deep within your biological foundation. We have been conditioned to believe that our bodies simply start to fail after 4 decades of life, as if an internal clock has reached its expiration date. This narrative is not only discouraging, but it is also scientifically incomplete. The truth is far more fascinating and, fortunately, far more manageable. To understand why your energy has plummeted and why your focus has vanished, we have to look past the surface and travel deep into the core of your being. We must look at the high-security border crossing that dictates your systemic health. Imagine a shield that protects your entire internal world. This shield is the intestinal epithelium, a remarkable barrier that serves as the gatekeeper between the external environment and your vital organs. This is not a thick, leathery wall. In fact, it is a delicate structure that is only one single cell thick. To truly grasp how fragile this is, consider that this entire barrier is thinner than a single strand of hair on your head. This microscopic lining is the only thing standing between the food you eat, the toxins you encounter, and the trillions of bacteria in your gut and your precious bloodstream. When this shield is healthy, it is an elite filter, allowing nutrients and water to pass through while keeping the dangerous invaders out. However, as we pass the age of 40, something fundamental begins to shift. The structural integrity of this one-cell thick shield begins to falter. The security guards at the border start to fall asleep on the job. The tight bonds that hold these cells together begin to fray, creating microscopic gaps in what was once a solid wall. This is the invisible breach. It is a biological breakdown that sets off a domino effect of systemic issues throughout your entire body. When this barrier fails, things that should never enter your blood start to leak through. It is like a high-pressure pipe developing tiny pinhole leaks. At first, the damage is small, but over time, the constant spray of toxins into your internal system begins to overwhelm your defenses. This process leads to what scientists call systemic endotoxemia, a state where your blood is effectively being poisoned from the inside out. This is why you feel that heavy, unlifting exhaustion. This is why your brain feels like it is functioning underwater. This is the root cause of the inflammaging cascade, a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation that accelerates the aging process and makes your body feel like it is constantly on fire. Throughout this series, we are going to deconstruct this process with surgical precision. You are going to learn about the cellular mechanics that most doctors completely overlook in standard checkups. We will go beyond the vague advice of eating more fiber or reducing stress. Instead, we will look at the specific proteins and chemical messengers that govern your health. You deserve to know exactly how your body works and how to fix it when the foundation begins to crack. Every protocol and scientific insight shared on this channel is rigorously reviewed by a clinical pharmacist and researcher to ensure that you are receiving the most accurate, evidence-based information available. We are not interested in health trends or surface-level fixes. We are here to provide you with the tools to perform a biological restoration of your intestinal shield. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The journey ahead will reveal the hidden enemies currently circulating in your veins and the specific protocols required to seal the breach. We are about to dive into the architecture of your internal border and discover how to rebuild the biological Velcro that keeps you whole. Your body is not failing you. It is simply reacting to a structural crisis that has remained invisible until now. It is time to stop accepting the decline and start understanding the science of restoration. The poison is currently leaking, but the tools to stop it are finally within your reach. To understand how this microscopic breach happens, we have to zoom in on the complex architecture of your internal border. Picture the intestinal epithelium as a high-security border crossing, one of the most sophisticated and vital structures in the entire human body. This is not a passive wall or a simple skin. It is a dynamic, highly regulated system designed with a dual purpose: to let in the life-sustaining nutrients your body craves, while simultaneously keeping out the destructive forces of the external world. Each individual cell in this single layer stands shoulder to shoulder with its neighbor, forming an unbroken line of defense that would stretch for miles if it were completely unfolded. But how do these individual cells stay so perfectly aligned and tightly packed? How do they prevent unwanted substances from slipping through the cracks between them and entering your delicate internal environment? The answer lies in a complex network of structural proteins that act as a form of biological Velcro. These proteins are the microscopic stitches that hold your entire health together. At the very top of these cellular junctions, we find three critical players that define the strength and resilience of your barrier: claudin-1, occludin, and Zo-1, which is short for Zonulin, occludins 1. These are not just scientific names on a page. They are the physical structures currently determining how much energy you have and how clear your mind feels today. Think of claudin-1 as the primary sealant of your body. It creates a tight, almost waterproof bond between the cells, ensuring that the spaces between them are virtually closed to the outside world. Occludin acts as the secondary reinforcement, a structural support that ensures the seal remains stable and elastic under the constant pressure and movement of digestion. Finally, Zo-1 serves as the essential structural anchor. It is the biological bridge that tethers these external proteins to the internal skeleton of the cell itself, providing the tension and stability needed to keep the wall upright and firm. When these three proteins are functioning in perfect harmony, your gut lining is an elite masterpiece of biological engineering. It is an impenetrable shield that keeps you safe while you sleep, eat, and move through your day. However, even the most secure border in the world needs a gatekeeper to decide who enters and who is turned away. This is where a specific molecule called zonulin enters the story. Zonulin is the only known physiological modulator of these intercellular tight junctions. In a perfectly healthy and balanced system, zonulin acts like a sophisticated dial on a door. It opens the junctions just wide enough to allow certain large nutrients or vital water molecules to pass through, before quickly and efficiently snapping them shut again. It is a delicate dance of opening and closing that happens thousands of times every second within your abdomen. But as we age, and particularly as we cross the milestone of age 40, this delicate regulation begins to fail. Various environmental triggers, ranging from specific dietary proteins like gluten to shifts in the balance of your internal bacteria, can cause an overexpression of zonulin. When zonulin levels rise too high, the biological Velcro begins to uncouple. It is as if a security guard has been instructed to leave all the gates wide open and simply walk away from his post. This state of persistent opening and lack of closure is what scientists call increased intestinal permeability. In popular culture, you may have heard this referred to as leaky gut, but the scientific reality of this breakdown is far more serious than that simple name suggests. Behind this protein shield lies another layer of defense that is just as vital to your survival: the mucus buffer. Imagine a thick, protective, gel-like coating that sits on top of your epithelial cells. This layer acts as both a physical cushion and a chemical trap for harmful bacteria and toxins. This protective layer is produced by specialized cells called goblet cells, which are scattered throughout your gut lining like tiny, dedicated factories. In your younger years, your goblet cells are incredibly prolific, maintaining a robust and resilient mucus barrier that prevents irritants from ever touching the delicate cells beneath. But as the decades pass, the efficiency of these goblet cells begins to decline. After 40, the production of this protective gel often slows down significantly. The mucus layer starts to thin out, becoming patchy, fragile, and less capable of defense. Without this protective coating, your epithelial cells and their precious tight junctions are left exposed to the harsh, acidic, and bacterial environment of the digestive tract. The breakdown of these proteins and the thinning of the mucus layer is the primary event that triggers the systemic decline many people feel. It is the beginning of a cascade where the high-security border crossing becomes a sieve, allowing the external world to invade your internal sanctuary and change your biology at its very foundation. Once the structural Velcro of your tight junctions begins to fail and your protective mucus layer thins, the high-security border of your gut becomes a compromised frontier. Behind this thinning wall, a silent and dangerous invader is waiting to strike. This invader is known to scientists as lipopolysaccharide, or LPS. To understand the gravity of your situation, you must realize that LPS is not a living organism itself, but rather a potent endotoxin found within the cell walls of gram-negative bacteria that naturally inhabit your intestinal tract. Under normal conditions, these toxins are safely contained within the gut, destined to be excreted. They are like toxic waste sealed inside a secure vault. However, when the barrier fails, these molecules do something that should never happen in a healthy body. They cross the line. This process is called LPS translocation. As these toxic fragments slip through the gaps left by failing proteins like claudin 1 and occludin, they enter a sensitive region known as the lamina propria. This is the thin layer of connective tissue lying just beneath your gut lining, and it is packed with your immune system's first responders. In this space, the presence of LPS is treated as a full-scale invasion. Your body possesses a specialized detection system designed for this exact moment, a protein called toll-like receptor 4, or TLR4. Think of TLR4 as your immune system's ultimate smoke detector. It is programmed to recognize the specific molecular signature of LPS immediately. The moment an LPS molecule touches a TLR4 receptor, the alarm is triggered. It is not a quiet warning. It is a systemic siren that tells your body it is under biological siege. Once the smoke detector goes off, the immune response is no longer localized to your gut. Because the lamina propria is heavily supplied with blood vessels, these LPS molecules quickly find their way into your general circulation. This is the state known as systemic endotoxemia. Imagine a slow, toxic leak in a metropolitan water supply. The poison does not stay at the source. It travels through the pipes to every neighborhood, every street, and every home. This is why the symptoms of a leaky gut after 40 are almost never limited to your stomach. When LPS enters your bloodstream, it travels to your joints, your muscles, and your organs. This explains that unexplained joint stiffness you feel when you wake up in the morning, or that lingering sense of malaise that makes you feel as though you are coming down with a flu that never actually arrives. Your immune system is stuck in a state of high alert, fighting an invisible enemy that is being replenished every time you eat or face a stressful situation. Perhaps the most devastating impact of this translocation is what happens when these toxins reach your head. For years, science treated the brain as a privileged sanctuary, protected by the formidable blood-brain barrier. We believed that what happened in the gut stayed in the gut. But we now know that systemic endotoxemia is a direct assault on the brain's defense systems. When LPS and the resulting inflammatory signals reach the blood-brain barrier, they begin to compromise its integrity just as they did in your gut. This is the biological origin of the brain fog that plagues so many people in their middle years. It is not a lack of focus or a sign that you are simply getting older. It is a physical reaction to gut-derived toxins crossing into your neurological space and interfering with the way your neurons communicate. The presence of LPS in the blood acts like a constant, low-level friction against your total cellular health. It forces your heart, your liver, and your kidneys to deal with a metabolic burden they were never meant to carry 24 hours a day. In the context of the midlife shift, this constant presence of endotoxin becomes the primary driver of rapid aging. While your friends and colleagues might tell you that feeling tired and achy is just a part of the journey, the clinical researcher and the clinical pharmacist will tell you a very different story. They will tell you that you are experiencing a chronic biological emergency. Your body is trying to tell you that the border has been breached. As the LPS translocation continues day after day, your immune system becomes exhausted. the TLR4 receptors remain activated, and the smoke detector never stops ringing. This leads to a state of chronic cellular stress. You might notice that your recovery time after a simple workout has doubled, or that your skin looks more tired than it did just a few years ago. These are outward signs of the internal poison. The connection between your gut and your brain is a two-way street, but when the street is flooded with LPS, the traffic of healthy signals comes to a standstill. Understanding this translocation is the key to reclaiming your vitality. You cannot fix the fog in your head or the pain in your joints without first addressing the toxic leak at the source. This is the reality of the poison within, a silent adversary that has been dictating your quality of life since your 40th birthday. By identifying the role of LPS and the failure of the tight junctions, we move away from guesswork and toward a precise biological map of recovery. The leak is real, the invasion is happening, and your body is sounding the alarm for a very good reason. The continuous presence of lipopolysaccharide, or LPS, in your bloodstream does not merely sound an alarm. It ignites a slow-burning fire throughout your entire system. This fire, often unnoticed in its initial stages, is what scientists call inflammaging. It is a portmanteau of inflammation and aging, perfectly describing the chronic, low-grade inflammation that accelerates your biological aging process from within. This is not the acute inflammation you experience with a sprained ankle or a sudden infection, which is a necessary and healthy immune response designed to heal. Instead, inflammaging is a persistent smoldering state, like embers that never quite die out, constantly stressing your cells and tissues. It is why your body feels perpetually on fire, without any obvious injury or illness. This insidious process is not merely an inconvenience. It is a fundamental shift in your metabolic landscape, undermining your vitality at its very core. Remember that smoke detector, the toll-like receptor 4, or TLR4 we discussed. When it detects LPS, it does more than just raise an alert. It triggers a profound genetic response. Imagine a master switch deep within every cell that controls a vast array of inflammatory genes. This master switch is a protein complex known as NF-kappa B, or NF-kB. Upon activation by the LPS-TLR4 pathway, NF-kB rushes into the nucleus of your cells, binding to specific DNA sequences and essentially flipping on the genetic switches for inflammation. This is not a subtle nudge. It is a full-scale command to produce an arsenal of inflammatory messengers, turning your own cellular machinery against you. These messengers are called cytokines, and in the context of inflammaging, they form a veritable cytokine storm. Specifically, 3 key players are unleashed: tumor necrosis factor alpha, or TNF-A, interleukin-6, or IL-6, and interleukin-1 beta, or IL-1V. These are powerful signaling molecules, designed for acute battle, but when chronically released, they become destructive forces. TNF-A attacks healthy cells, contributing to tissue damage and amplifying pain signals. IL-6 fuels systemic inflammation and is strongly associated with many age-related diseases, including cardiovascular issues and neurodegeneration. IL-1V amplifies the inflammatory response, turning up the heat on the internal fire and contributing to joint stiffness and widespread discomfort. Together, these cytokines create a hostile internal environment that permeates every organ and tissue, from your joints to your brain. This chronic inflammatory onslaught has a particularly devastating effect on the power plants of your cells, your mitochondria. These tiny organelles are responsible for generating almost all the energy your body needs to function, to recover, and to thrive. When they are constantly bombarded by pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-A and IL-6, their delicate structure and function become severely compromised. They are essentially overworked and under attack, leading to a significant drop in energy production. This mitochondrial dysfunction is a core reason why recovery from exercise, or even just the daily stresses of life, feels impossible after 40. Your cellular engines are misfiring, struggling to produce the energy required for repair and regeneration, leaving you feeling drained and exhausted even after a full night's sleep. You are not just tired, Your cells themselves are running on empty, unable to keep up with the demands placed upon them. Adding another layer of complexity to this internal battle is the mTOR pathway. mTOR, which stands for mechanistic target of rapamycin, is a crucial cellular regulator that plays a dual role in both growth and repair. Ideally, your body cycles between states where mTOR is active, promoting cell growth, and states where it is less active, allowing for cellular cleanup and repair processes, known as autophagy. However, chronic inflammation, fueled by the persistent presence of LPS and the relentless cytokine storm, disrupts this delicate balance. It tends to keep mTOR constantly engaged in a state of growth and proliferation, often leading to cellular resistance and an inability to properly switch into repair mode. This mTOR paradox means your body struggles to efficiently clear out damaged components and rejuvenate its cells, leading to an accumulation of cellular debris. The inflammatory signals are essentially jamming the communication lines, preventing your body from performing its essential maintenance duties. This continuous state of mild inflammation and impaired cellular maintenance creates a vicious cycle, accelerating the wear and tear on your body, making you feel far older than your chronological age. Understanding these pathways is crucial because it highlights that the fight against age-related decline is not about willpower. It is about addressing these fundamental cellular processes. While the mTOR paradox highlights the internal cellular struggle, it is impossible to truly understand this internal imbalance without acknowledging the vast, living ecosystem residing within you. Your gut microbiome. This intricate community of trillions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses plays an absolutely critical role in maintaining your overall health, far beyond simple digestion. Think of it as a sprawling, complex rainforest inside your gut, where biodiversity and harmonious balance are not just ideal, but absolutely paramount for survival. However, as we journey past the age of 40, this delicate ecosystem often undergoes a significant and detrimental shift, one that directly contributes to the invisible breach. This phenomenon is known as dysbiosis, an age-related decline in the population of beneficial bacteria, concurrently accompanied by a concerning rise in opportunistic pathogens, those less friendly microbes that thrive when conditions are out of balance. This shift fundamentally alters the language of health your gut cells are designed to understand, further eroding the epithelial barrier we have been meticulously discussing since the beginning. When your beneficial gut bacteria are thriving, they perform an invaluable service. They ferment the indigestible fibers from your diet, producing vital compounds known as short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. These SCFAs are not just metabolic byproducts. They are the primary currency of gut health, acting as crucial signaling molecules and potent energy sources for your intestinal cells, and even influencing distant organs. Among these SCFAs, one stands out as the undisputed master fuel for your colonocytes, the specialized cells lining your colon, and that is butyrate. Butyrate is not merely a source of energy. It is a superstar molecule that actively reinforces the physical gut barrier, literally strengthening the cellular structure. It helps to tighten those compromised tight junctions we discussed earlier, effectively sealing the microscopic gaps and patching the holes in your intestinal shield that allow toxins to leak through. Without sufficient butyrate, your colonocytes are starved of their preferred fuel, making them weak and vulnerable, and thereby weakening the very wall meant to protect you from the outside world. But the brilliance of butyrate extends far beyond simply feeding your gut cells. It also possesses a remarkable ability to talk to your DNA, influencing gene expression in a profound and beneficial way. Butyrate acts as what scientists call an HDS inhibitor. Without diving too deep into the complex world of molecular biology, imagine your DNA as a massive, comprehensive instruction manual for all your cells. Within this manual, certain inflammatory genes are like switches that, in a state of chronic inflammaging, are often stuck in the on position, continuously fueling that internal fire we explored. HDAC inhibitors, like butyrate, help to physically interact with your DNA and turn these inflammatory genes off, actively restoring a healthier anti-inflammatory genetic profile within your cells. This means that a healthy microbiome, by producing abundant butyrate, is essentially whispering powerful instructions to your body's control center. instructing it to dampen systemic inflammation and protect itself from the relentless assault of aging. It is a sophisticated example of how your internal ecosystem directly influences your fundamental biological processes and can literally rewrite your inflammatory destiny. Furthermore, a healthy gut ecosystem is home to specific protective species that contribute directly and powerfully to the integrity of your intestinal barrier. One such critical bacterium, gaining significant scientific attention, is Akkermansia mucinephila. This particular microbe plays an essential role in maintaining the thickness and overall health of your mucus layer, that crucial first line of defense produced by your goblet cells. Remember how we talked about the age-related thinning of this mucus layer, making you more vulnerable? Akkermansia mucinephila helps to counteract this destructive process, ensuring that the mucus remains robust, thick, and forms an effective buffer against potential invaders like lipopolysaccharide. A significant reduction in Akkermansia is often observed in individuals with compromised gut barriers, increased intestinal permeability, and elevated systemic inflammation. Understanding these intricate interactions between your microbial residents and your own cells reveals that your gut health is not a passive state, but an active, dynamic conversation, a constant and vital crosstalk that either builds up your defenses or allows them to crumble. Reestablishing this healthy conversation is not just about relieving frustrating symptoms. It is about rebuilding the fundamental resilience of your body, starting from within, at the most microscopic level. Having meticulously uncovered the intricate cellular mechanics, the biochemical pathways, and the microbial conversations that either fortify or dismantle your internal shield, the crucial question now emerges. How do we actively rebuild and restore this vital barrier? This is not about quick fixes or faddish supplements. This is about an evidence-based protocol, grounded in scientific understanding, designed to provide your body with the precise tools it needs to repair, regenerate, and reinforce the very structures that have been compromised since turning 40. Our journey to barrier restoration begins with the fundamental building blocks, the raw materials your gut cells desperately need to mend themselves. Foremost among these is L-glutamine, an amino acid that serves as the primary fuel source for the cells lining your small intestine, known as enterocytes. Think of L-glutamine as the essential nutrient that kickstarts the repair process, empowering these cells to regenerate and maintain their structural integrity. When your gut lining is under assault, its demand for L-glutamine skyrockets. Supplementing with this crucial amino acid provides the necessary resources to rapidly heal microerosions and strengthen the entire epithelial layer, helping to close those microscopic gaps that allow unwanted invaders like lipopolysaccharide to slip through. Without adequate L-glutamine, your gut cells simply cannot perform their essential maintenance and repair duties efficiently. Next, we introduce a specialized compound known as zinc carnosine. This is not merely zinc, nor is it merely carnosine, but a chelated form that offers unparalleled benefits for mucosal healing. Its unique bond allows it to remain in the gut for a significantly longer duration compared to its individual components, enabling it to directly target and heal the epithelial erosions and areas of inflammation that contribute to increased intestinal permeability. Zinc carnosine actively stabilizes the tight junctions, those critical protein velcros we discussed, and also supports the production of protective mucus, thereby enhancing both the physical and biochemical defenses of your intestinal lining. Its ability to provide sustained local healing makes it an indispensable component of any robust barrier restoration protocol, working diligently to mend the very fabric of your gut. To provide additional structural support for the entire extracellular matrix of the gut, we turn to collagen peptides. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body, providing structure and elasticity to tissues. For the gut, collagen peptides deliver a rich supply of specific amino acids, primarily glycine and proline, which are vital for the formation and repair of the connective tissues that support the intestinal wall. While L-glutamine focuses on the cells themselves, collagen peptides bolster the underlying scaffolding, ensuring that the repaired barrier is not just patched up, but genuinely strengthened and resilient. This comprehensive approach addresses both the cellular integrity and the structural framework, promoting a more durable and long-lasting repair. Beyond specific supplements, the restoration of your intestinal shield is intrinsically linked to how you nourish your body. Dietary strategies play a paramount role, specifically those that increase short-chain fatty acid production. Remember butyrate, the master fuel for your colonocytes. To generate ample butyrate, your beneficial gut bacteria require a diverse array of fermentable fibers. This means embracing a diet rich in high-fiber plant diversions, including a variety of fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Each of these plant foods acts as a distinct food source for different species of beneficial bacteria, fostering a robust and diverse microbiome capable of producing a symphony of protective SCFAs. Additionally, incorporating the polyphenols, potent plant compounds found in colorful berries, dark chocolate, green tea, and many spices, further nourishes a healthy gut flora and exerts direct anti-inflammatory effects, creating a more hospitable environment for barrier repair. Finally, to truly put a damper on the persistent inflammaging response that has been ravaging your system, we must target the master switch of inflammation. NF-kB. Specific compounds have been identified for their potent ability to modulate this pathway. For instance, curcumin. The active compound in turmeric has been extensively studied for its powerful anti-inflammatory properties, largely attributed to its ability to inhibit NF-kB activation. Similarly, high-quality omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA from marine sources, are crucial for dampening inflammatory signaling and promoting a more balanced immune response. By strategically integrating these anti-inflammatory anchors into your regimen, you are not just treating symptoms, but actively disarming the chronic internal fire that has been driving your age-related decline. This multifaceted approach, combining foundational building blocks, mucosal healers, structural support, targeted nutrition, and anti-inflammatory modulators, lays the groundwork for a comprehensive and sustainable restoration of your gut barrier, allowing your body to finally begin its long overdue process of true rejuvenation. As we finalize our understanding of restoring your gut barrier, it is crucial to recognize that physiological repair is not solely about specific compounds or dietary adjustments. It is also deeply intertwined with the often underestimated power of your mind-body connection, particularly through the pivotal role of the vagus nerve. Many people dismiss stress management as merely a wellness trend or a pleasant addition to life, but for the integrity of your gut barrier, it is a biological necessity. The vagus nerve, often called the body's superhighway, directly links your brain to your gut, serving as the primary conduit of the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for rest and digest functions. When you are under chronic stress, your sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response, dominates. This state diverts blood flow away from your digestive system, reducing the production of digestive enzymes and mucus, and directly weakening the tight junctions. The constant bombardment of stress hormones like cortisol further compromises the delicate balance of your gut microbiome, potentially exacerbating dysbiosis and inflammation. Therefore, actively managing stress through practices like deep breathing, meditation, mindful movement, or even simply spending time in nature is not just about feeling calmer. It is a powerful, evidence-based intervention that directly supports vagus nerve tone, which in turn reinforces your intestinal lining, making it less permeable to the lipopolysaccharide, or LPS, and other toxins that have been causing your chronic symptoms. This means that reducing mental and emotional stress is a tangible, physiological pillar in rebuilding your internal shield, preventing the invisible breach from reopening and disrupting your systemic health. So please, shift your perspective. Your body is not failing you as you navigate life beyond 40. Those persistent symptoms of fatigue that no longer lift with sleep, the frustrating brain fog, and the unexplained aches and pains are not inevitable signs of decline. Instead, they are the undeniable signals of a structural breach, a compromised intestinal lining reacting to years of subtle assaults and a lack of the specific support it needs. But here is the empowering truth. This breach is not a permanent condition. It is a biological problem with biological solutions. You now possess the knowledge, grounded in precise cellular mechanics and biochemical pathways, to understand why you have been feeling this way, and more importantly, how to proactively address it. You are equipped to move beyond merely managing symptoms and to embark on a journey of genuine, sustainable repair. This channel exists to empower you on that journey. If this deep dive into the hidden mechanisms of your health resonates with you, and if you are ready to reclaim your vitality, then I urge you to become part of our growing community. Hit that subscribe button and join us as we continue to explore the cutting edge of scientific discovery, translating complex biological processes into actionable, empowering protocols for your health. Together, we can decode the mysteries of the human body and build a future where aging does not equate to decline. Please remember, every single protocol and piece of information shared on this channel has been rigorously reviewed by a highly qualified clinical pharmacist and researcher. Our commitment is to provide you with insights that are not only transformative, but also scientifically sound and clinically relevant. The insights we have uncovered today are too important to keep to yourself. If you know 5 people in your life, especially those over the age of 40, who are experiencing similar unexplained symptoms and are searching for answers, I implore you to share this video with them. You have the power to ignite their own journey of discovery and empowerment, helping them understand that their struggles are not in their heads, but in their guts. As we move forward, I want to hear from you. What health mystery are you eager for us to decode next? What aspect of your well-being feels like an unsolved puzzle? Leave your questions and suggestions in the comments below. Your input helps us shape our future explorations, ensuring that we continue to provide content that truly addresses your needs and curiosities. Ultimately, taking ownership of your biological future is the most profound act of self-care you can undertake. It is about understanding that your body is an intricate, adaptable system, and by providing it with the right tools, knowledge, and environment, you can foster profound healing and resilience. The journey begins now, with a deeper understanding, informed choices, and the unwavering belief in your body's remarkable capacity for repair. Embrace this opportunity for your vitality, your clarity, and your future self.